Hi, everybody. Looks like we're ramping up here, spinning up. I'm not sure if I'm actually live. Ooh, looks like I'm live now. Hi, everybody. Greg D'Amico here. I have a company called Efficience. It's a software company. We do a lot of SaaS development, software as a service, mobile app, e-commerce development, and I want to give a little bit more history about me for context for you guys on some of the questions you ask or potentially could ask in the future. So, I had the software company. I went to India in 2004. I set up my own office over there. I have a team of developers in India, and well, kind of in parallel, a little bit around that time, but previous to that, I had an investment firm. I started in the financial planning space. I did money management, evolved into money management, and evolved into doing a mutual fund. I started a mutual fund in '95 and grassrooted it out, worked through a lot of the regulatory stuff to get it up and running, and we grew it and we took it to $1 billion in assets. And the world changed in 2000, and I watched it kind of slide back down. I looked at opportunities in what we did in the fund and ended up seeing the evolution of things being connectivity through software. So I started a software company, and with that, we in that time we weren't in the mobile app space and so forth because it wasn't created yet. But we did a lot of web application development and interactions, and looked at creating products, which is what I'm in the middle of now. Is doing more of a product based world. So anyway, coming to you from my home in Knoxville, Tennessee. I don't think I've filmed from that before. So here in Knoxville, and um, I have been typically in my Fort Lauderdale office, which I spend a lot of time at, but here in Knoxville, and I'm excited to be with you guys, back with you guys again. So what I have done previously is I worked on giving you some feedback on thinking of experiences that I've had that's helped me in the business world, either education I've been exposed to, people I've been exposed to, and so forth, that has led to areas of my success that I think could be advance your thinking, your opportunities for engaging business, and so on and so forth. So previously, I did a couple things in the area of BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals, and the flywheel concept, which comes from the Good to Great book by Jim Collins. So today, I'm going to do something different. That's very, what I feel is foundational and paramount to success and achieving uh, business growth and opportunities that are challenging. When you're out there and you're looking in a world of business, you run into a lot of roadblocks, a lot of areas, and having the right mindset is important. So what I want to talk to you today is about the idea of your outer world is created by your inner world. Okay? So when I say that, what I'm saying is that is your thinking is what leads to the world around you. Okay? A lot of people think that the world is happening to them, but the world is happening and being created by the thoughts that you have, the thinking you are putting out, the vibration that you are putting out. So look at life as if you don't like what's happening to you, I guess, in the life that you're having, and you look at it in that sense, then it's coming from your world of thoughts and where you are in a particular level of vibration. So if you don't like that world, then check your thinking. Okay, it's really comes down to that, and what your thoughts are going to lead to the world you're in. So there's really two types of areas of consciousness or thinking that I like to refer to, and that's a scarcity mindset, or it could be classified as poverty consciousness, or an abundance mindset, or wealth consciousness. Okay, so in looking at those two things, you have in scarcity. Let's get into that first, because in scarcity, most people are focused on a lack of money. And when you focus on a lack of money, we always want more money to buy the things we want to buy. We want to do more. We want to have nicer vacations. We want to have bigger houses, and so on and so forth. And with that, we tend to have thinking around lack of, and it's not enough, and we don't get what we want or we're not getting what we want, we're not achieving the things that we want to achieve. And that thinking about I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy and so forth leads to a vibrational level that doesn't attract into your world the things that you really want. So I grew up with scarcity mindset. I've become relatively successful, okay, in the sense of the way some people look at the world. I actually built a house here 20 years ago, and I have a basketball court in my basement, if you can see that behind me. And I was able to do that with drive and tenacity to go after what I wanted. I didn't understand the scarcity and abundance mindset at the time, but even though I was hovering between a scarcity and somewhat of an abundance mindset, I pushed so hard that I was able to achieve things. But I think my scarcity mindset tended to lead me back to a place of lack. And so, in learning as much as I can about this, it's allowed me to open up to have the ability to have a more abundance mindset, and that's been life-changing for me. So a little bit more around it I wanted to share with you is that the world is made up of metaphysical and a physical world, okay? Some people may hear that term metaphysical and think that it's, ooey and aye and kind of weird sounding, but we experience it in our everyday lives, okay? So you have a radio. You listen to a radio. Where does that come from? It comes from waves in the air that are transferred in the metaphysical that end up reactivating in a box that puts out music. When you're looking at your phone or you're in a Starbucks on Wi-Fi on your computer and you get your emails to your phone or your computer, that is the metaphysical aspect of waves floating through the air and a vibrational rate and frequency that connects to a similar frequency that allows that transfer of sound or knowledge to take place. So think about it in your world and what frequency you're putting off. Okay, are you putting off a frequency of scarcity or are you putting off a frequency of abundance? And think about it, you can look at it as another example of that is this way. If you had two pianos in a room, and if you ever been to a dueling piano bar, maybe you probably haven't experienced this, but if you've been in a room with two pianos and you go to one piano and you type in or you hit the key that say that the C note, you will get the other piano's C note will vibrate when nobody's touched it. Okay, because it sends out that vibration in the air, and that it doesn't matter about space or time or length. That vibration is put out there, and it connects to a similar vibration. Okay, if you're familiar with tuning forks used to tune guitars and other forms of musical instruments, if you hit a note on one of the tuning forks, you had a bunch lined up, say on a deck or a platform or something, and you had another one up in your hand and you clanged that tuning fork, the same one that's sitting up on the stage would be vibrating, because you would hit that one, it'd vibrate and send out that vibration, and it would cause a similar vibrational aspect in the one that is of the like mind. So back to your inner world. What are you thinking? Are you having scarcity thoughts? Are you having abundance thoughts? Are you thinking things of lack? Or are you thinking things that there's plenty of out there? So with that, you may think, well, Greg, I have a lot of thoughts of lack, so how do I change it to more of an abundance mindset? And with that, your mind is only able to hold one particular thought in mind. Even though a lot of us are ADD and we switch around things, you have one thought, but if you switch it around, you're just switching it around to multiple different thoughts very quickly. And so the ability to hold one thought, if you have an abundance thought, you can't have a scarcity thought. Okay? So with that, I would look at it from the standpoint of how do I create scarcity, or how do I create abundance? You look at it from a gratitude perspective. Okay, what am I grateful for? Now, if you don't have a lot of money and you want to be grateful for what you have, it's not about just being grateful for something that you do have, or something that you want to have. It can be grateful about all the things that you do have that you don't really think about on a daily basis. Grateful that the sun is out today. Grateful for the air that I breathe. I'm grateful for the friends that I have. I'm grateful for the rain that's happening today to take care of watering the yard and making the aspects of life go round and round. So just whatever in your world that you're grateful for, think about that. The more time you spend thinking about what you're grateful for, the more time you will be focused on an abundance vibration and putting out abundance out into the world. So I wanted to share that. Another aspect of that, or to get a little deeper in that, is to create a journal and journal on a daily basis what you're grateful for. It could be a few lines. It could be you can get a small book, and you put in a page. I did that for about 3 months, and I felt major changes in my world, and I continue to do it, and it's a little bit more sporadic, but I'm a lot more focused on my daily activities and just being grateful in all the moments that I can be, that I think about. I just got back from Yellowstone and Jackson Hole, and the beauty out there was just spectacular. Probably one of the second places in the world that I've been that I thought was the most picturesque. And all these views, I'm just grateful that I was able to experience that and be there and share that and be a part of the nature and the world that we live in. So anyway, that's the thought for this time. I'm going to get into the questions now and give you guys some sharing along that lines. But I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions for me around that and a little bit deeper subject matter, please reach out and be happy to share. First question is from Joe Nugent. Joe's question: what are different avenues I can go down to sell an online course? Business description and background question: I recently launched an online course designed specifically for veterans to help them start and operate their very own watch business. First, Joe, I had to actually call Sean to ask him about what you meant by home watch business. I didn't know if that was something you work on watches on your hand, or if it was something different. And Sean explained to me that what you're doing is people are looking to have an opportunity to watch a place. Say, like, you got a place in Florida, like I do, and I'm not there some of the time, that we need people to come in and check on it and make sure it's either maintained or looked after in some capacity. So very interesting business. I see the need for it. So hopefully that you can have some opportunities to move forward with that. So another thing that Sean also stressed is that to do your elevator speech in the format of how you present your question and background. So what I would say to that is selling an online course. What I do is called SaaS, software as a service, and service there is that key word. Because when you're selling software, you're selling some type of service out there. An example of a software of a service would be something like a project management software. Basecamp is a huge worldwide software system that is, you pay so much per month, $30, $50, depending on the level of requirements that you're going to get, and you have access to the system. You can put in a team of people and they can all interact. You can think of software as a service as if you use QuickBooks in your business. QuickBooks, you pay so much per month. You have access to your online accounting system and your accounts and your invoices and so forth that you're sending out in the world. Xero, another accounting system, is becoming very popular, and one I use because I feel it's better. But any of those type of systems that you have out there are software as a service. So when you look at your service, are you putting it out there to connect? So basically, Uber is, in a sense, is a software as a service. You're getting a ride from somebody, okay? And that system allows its activity to take place by connecting you to a driver. The driver then has the location and GPS to get to you, and then the location to get to where you want to go. That's a service that you pay for. and it's priced out in that basis per ride, whereas a lot of softwares are priced out so much per month based on your what level that you're providing them. Okay, and I'm a big fan of this because I'm building SaaS applications for myself and for partners of mine, and in that sense, it's very beneficial. So that's one way to look at it from a SaaS as a service. So what type of service you're providing, how can you provide that, how can you charge for that, and looking at those factors. The other form of online software is membership. Okay, membership is growing significantly and more recently, and it's a lot of people that have something that they offer to the world that they feel is unique and valuable that they want to be able to share. So if I'm a yoga instructor and I have what I feel is maybe a little bit more unique approach to yoga, I can put it out there in the form of membership and have people pay me $10 a month that they can get access to my yoga lessons, either live or recorded or however I want to set that up. You can do this for workouts. Okay, people are putting their workouts out there and sharing it with other people, and they would charge so much per month. You can do it for gardening. You can do it for a book club. You can do it for all kinds of things. You can have membership into anything. In fact, the most odd and unique and thing, you can actually do a membership, and people are actually making money with something like that online. There is, and that membership format could be an attractive way to look at this, Joe. And so I would, one of the gurus out there in the membership space is Stu McLaren, McLaren, and Stu has he's a membership expert and a tribe expert where he helps to bring a tribe together. And with that tribe that you have connectivity to, then you would offer out some type of membership service to that tribe. And he is, I followed him and looked at his stuff because I'm putting together a membership program myself. And I think that you can get a lot of value out of working with Stu. So those are basically some of the options you have. You can go into breaking it down into a lot of ways. I would need a little bit more information from you. But what you're doing sounds like it has a marketplace for it. And with that, to be able to utilize a software as a service or a software in a form of membership as an opportunity. Next question. Okay, Christopher Joseph submitted the question. Question is relationship question. How do I balance school and work on developing my business and having a relationship? Business description and background. I am in school full-time and working on starting my business and wondering what I can do to have balance in a relationship at the same time. Should I stop the relationship and focus on me, or is there a way to do it all? Okay, well, first of all, Christopher, I am not a psychologist, sociologist, or some type of human behavior expert, but I do have experience in this world because I juggled things in the beginning. Back in that beginning of when I was talking before about my investment world, I was started out in financial planning and I was going to college. I actually realized that if I worked part-time or worked full-time, went to school part-time, I could finish up at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville and pay in-state tuition. Coming from Rochester, New York, it was very expensive, or the out-of-state cost was a lot more for me. And so as some of my grants and student loans ran out, I switched over. And in doing so, I was going to school, okay? I was working full-time. And on top of that, I got married and pregnant very quickly, and in that, I was balancing out family life, school life, and work life, and it was very challenging, to say the least. So I understand what you're talking about. How do you do it? How do you have a relationship in this world? And relationships are not easy. When you add and compound things like that on top of them, it can make them pretty stressful. So here are some of my thoughts. I would make sure that I have time for yourself, okay? Sounds kind of funny, right? Like if you're going to have a better relationship, why do I think about myself? Well, if you are not right in your mind and your energy levels and in your world of how you're operating and able to focus, it's not, everything else is going to fall apart. So I would be looking at time for workouts, okay, making sure you get a little bit of time in every day for, or some type of schedule. Don't have to be every day, but definitely 3 or so times a week, along with having some time to be at peace. And with that peace, it could mean for you, it could be prayer, it could be meditation, it could be a combination, which ultimately I think is the world. A lot of people look at this dichotomy of prayer and meditation as two opposing sides, that you do one or the other. Well, if I asked you the question, do you learn from talking, or do you learn from listening? Or if you're having a conversation, is it just best to listen, or is it just best to talk? Well, I read something years ago that was very, I guess, wowed me, in the sense of, when I read it, it was so simple and easy. And what it said was, prayer is talking to God or the universe, whatever you prefer, and meditation is listening to God or the universe. So I would spend time with both, so that you have that balance. And there, if we're talking about balance, you have to have the balance of putting it out there. But if you're always talking, do you learn anything? Listening is the ability to receive. So if you're asking the universe for something, you have to take the time to listen for it, listen for the answers. And that's what that is. And meditation is as simple as doing some breathing exercises, breathing in to 6 to a count, whether it's 5, 10, 6, 8, whatever works for your lung capacity. Breathe in, hold it to the same count, and exhale to the same count in your mind. So you're breathing in, holding it as you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, holding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhaling, and doing that for like 5 or 6 times, and just being peaceful. If you start there, that's the way I started 20 years ago, and it was life-changing for me. Okay, so when you can be present and focus on a situation, that's going to be very helpful for you. So present in your relationship, present in your work, present in your school. Okay, trying to switch, and like I was talking about previously about moving yourself around, it's a problem. So getting rid of distractions while you are in one area and preventing the other areas to distract you is going to allow you to get more done, and you're going to feel more at peace because you have time to do more things. We all have the same 24 hours to live and work, but in the sense of being able to be present in your schoolwork. If you're focused and working in your schoolwork, you're going to have the ability to get more done and be more involved, as long as you stay conscious. If your phone's going off all the time, your emails are going off, you got people around you talking to you and distracting you, you're not going to be very productive in that work environment. Okay, so the other thing I would say about relationships that are key, especially from one guy to another, is that in your relationship, what I've read in books and have talked to relationship experts about is that us men in general, we like to solve problems. And so when we're in a relationship, we tend to be the ones that, when we are hearing our partner, spouse, whatever, talk about their problems, we start engaging them and trying to solve them. If we just listen to them, allow them to be heard. Most important need people have in communication is the ability to be heard. And if they are heard, you have a connection, a higher level of connection, a higher level of trust. And that's powerful. Okay, that's where you can help in a relationship to feel like you're having more of a connection, more time together in a way that is more productive, when you are allowing for trying not to solve problems and trying to allow your partner that feel that they are being heard. Okay, and this works both sides. It's not just one. It's just typical or stereotypical that us men are the trying to problem solvers, and why women like talking to each other and getting in those groups is because they just know how to listen to each other, and the person talking feels better because they feel like they got their problem out there and are heard, and so on and so forth. But that's my experience with it. There's a lot more that can be said and done with that. Hopefully a little something in there can help you move in a positive direction. Next question. Okay, we have Lisa Nidkowski. Lisa asked the question, how would you go about starting a business if you had no experience in that business? Business description and background. I know I have the traits of an entrepreneur, but I am wondering how to get the knowledge and skills needed to start my new business that I don't have any experience with in this business. If I were you, when you have your business idea and no knowledge in the business, what steps do you take to get it going? Thanks. Okay, Lisa. First and foremost, with that situation is to find something that you're very interested in, something that excites you and something you're very passionate about. Okay? If you're not interested and passionate about something, it's going to be very hard for you to deal with the challenges that come with running a business, because there's always challenges, there's always roadblocks, there's always things that are put in front of you that you have to work on to get around, under, over, through, whatever it may be. Okay, so your business is not easy, and in that regard, it's if you got to have some type of passion and excitement about something, and when you have more passion about it, you'll get in more of a flow state. Okay, flow will allow you to zip along and learn and read and grow within what you're doing, or doing the work within what you're doing, and just feel like time just goes by so fast when you get in that flow state, and you accomplish so much more because you're really juiced and energized by it, and you wake up excited about wanting to be in this. So that's, I think, would be the first requirement. Next would be we're living in a world right now, okay, that is a gift for all of us, because it's the easiest time in our world history to be going into business. Easiest in the sense of, if you need information, you have the ability to type in a phrase into a search engine like Google, and you can come across any type of knowledge that you need. You also have this other tool called YouTube, which will teach you anything that you want to learn how to do. From being a mechanic, being a gardener, to learning how to work on a database, to learn how to program. It's just whatever you want, it's there for the learning. And so, first of all, starting that business in the mindset of what it is that I'm excited, I'm interested about, and then next would be to do that research and figure out that areas that you can add value to the world. Remember, as I was talking previously about that aspects of poverty consciousness and abundance consciousness and so forth, and about money and people's scarcity with money. They don't feel like they have enough. Well, money comes to us in the form of an exchange of value. Okay? When you can create something of value in the world, people will spend money on it, and you will have the makings of a business opportunity. Now, if you manage and run that business appropriately, you can have the makings of a very successful business. But the first starts with the exchange of value. Okay? Did, say, Bill Gates become one of the richest people in the world because he put something out there and forced everybody to buy it? No. He put together an operating system that made it easy for us to utilize computers and to connect with each other utilizing computers that people needed, and they found value in, and it was key to making their lives better, and they spent money on it, and thus he grew to be one of the wealthiest man in the world at one point in time. Now, look at Jeff Bezos, who is the wealthiest man in the world, and what did he do? He created an online book selling system that evolved into selling everything and creating these mega warehouses of distribution, so you can get that in a day or less in most areas. And that value creation has allowed for a huge amount of wealth creation. So if you want to you're starting a business, you want to be passionate about it, you want to be interested in it, you can go find information on it, but until you are exchanging something of value that people are going to want, and they will give you their money for it, it's hard to really be in business. So make sure that you either do some market research in the form of asking peers and friends and family and your Facebook group certain questions about this value that you're going to offer and what they think about it, and do whatever you can to utilize that aspect of asking the question of, am I providing value to the world or not? Okay, next question. Hope that helped you. Okay, so Kelly Killingsworth. Kelly asked, would you move your business to a more tax advantaged state? And the business description and background: I own a construction company and am moving towards heavy equipment operations. California is not getting any better. I feel it's going to get worse tax-wise and going to get difficult to maintain or even grow a business, and I feel it could possibly be more profitable in another state. Say North Dakota, for example. I don't want to buy expensive equipment to then make decent money only to give 54% of my earnings back to California. Business-wise, we grow into seven figures. Business-wise, to grow into seven figures, California doesn't seem a safe place to do so. Please, mentors, share some guidance on this subject. Okay, Kelly, well, I've done a lot of thinking around this from one, an investment aspect, and also from a life perspective, because I grew up in New York State. So I grew up in New York up until I went to college, and I left to come to Tennessee, where I am now, and also I have a home in Fort Lauderdale. And with that, I have been around the world, and I've been to visit friends in other states, my entrepreneurial friends more specifically. And what I've found is that doing business in certain places like California that is tax heavy and regulatory heavy is very difficult. Okay? Think about this. Capital flows to the area that it's most advantageously treated. Okay? And that is happening in the world with America, because it did so well of creating freedoms and the opportunity for trade and commerce and business. Money flowed to America from other places, along with within America, to make the wealth creation capabilities that we have had as a country. So I would be thinking about this from that standpoint. One of my entrepreneurial friends has like an $80 million business in California. It's a painting business. They set up people to do painting and college kids come in and build their own business and then go out and do painting for houses, and then they have a commercial painting division. And in regards to that, they were hit with like a $200,000 fine by the EPA because of some way they did something with the paint. And it just was more of a regulatory slap, and the government exercising its power to control people and to not allow the expression of things to happen. What they did, from what I recall, was not like illegal or anything, but they just had some rules. They said that this isn't the way you should do it, and because of that, we're going to fine you. So states like that are driving people out in droves. People are leaving New York. People are leaving California in megaloads because they are not treating capital in the most advantaged way. And what's going to happen if you stay in California is that as the wealthier people and businesses that have the capability to move out, there's going to be less tax revenue to cover all the additional burdens that the state has placed on them, and then we'll turn around and allow for taxes on another class of lower income range of people that are going to have to bear that burden. And it just seems to be getting worse as opposed to better. They don't seem to see the area. In fact, last week or 2 weeks ago, I got a Wall Street Journal email that said 160 businesses sent a letter to the Mayor de Blasio in New York City saying that your policies are wiping out our clients and our base, and we would like you to help to change the approach that you're taking so that we're not driving and destroying our businesses here. I mean, it said it in such blunt terms, but in the polite, respectable letter writing to a politician, that's what they were asking. And these were major, like Citibank and JP Morgan and just on, just the major players in their worlds, respective worlds, whether it be banking and other type of manufacturing companies and so forth. So I would say that if you really want to grow a business and do so with less regulatory problems and less tax problems, because they will take a lot more of your wealth, and I don't see a lot of advantages for the taking. And I can give you a lot more stories around this and examples of it, but I feel as that opportunity, go out to what are the opportunities to move to other places. So whether it be a tax-free state like Tennessee or Florida, state income tax-free state like those. So considering options like that, I think North Dakota, South Dakota is the same. I don't remember them specifically. So let's see. Next question is Lisa Nikowski, and Lisa asked, how can I sell more copies of my book? Business subscription. I self-published my first book this year on May 1st, 2020. When it first came out, there was a lot of excitement and momentum, and the sales were coming in, and it was doing great. I did what I knew how to promote my book on social media, but not being too savvy with marketing, it soon fizzled out. Although I still am getting a few sales here and there, I wish I knew how to get the word about my book out there. One of the problems may be that it is a very niche subject, which I honestly thought would be a good thing. It's called So You Want to Be a Dental Hygienist, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's an unconventional written book with a fun, indirect approach that gives a good look into the profession of those interested in pursuing the field before investing the time and money into schooling or hygiene, whether it is for you or not. So the question goes on, or the background goes on quite a bit more, but I'll stop there and get into some feedback on it. So I don't have experience with putting a book out. I've thought about writing a book many times, and I have not done so. I still may at some point, but then again, I want to do something that is unique and different, and not just my story or how to be better at business. There's so much of that out there that it's just writing it from my own ego perspective. And so I could have at one point, when I started the mutual fund, I started it at a grassroots approach, and I could have wrote a book at the time that was how do you start your own mutual fund with very little money, or how do you start a mutual fund using a grassroots approach. And I'd never worked on Wall Street and was able to get a fund off the ground and have success with it, end up becoming the #1 growth and income fund in the country for 3 and 5 years. And we had some great success with it. And I could have written a book telling other people how I did that. That would have added value, but that time has come and gone. So anyway, I want to write a book, and I feel for where you're at. But a little bit of value I think I can add for you is one of the mentors, Peter Kazauti, I think you say his name. Actually, I've met Peter before. He has just launched a book, and he has done a lot to promote it and get it out there and so forth. And talking to some of the other people in AO, they've shared some things that he's done to get a book successfully out there. And I would definitely propose this question to him and get his feedback. There's advantages to the world we're living in. Like I was saying in the previous questions, you're living in a time like no other, where we can target around the world the particular people that want the value that we are creating. Okay, so you're creating value here, Lisa, in this world, and you got some good sales because you were hitting on a very small niche, which it is great. When you said I thought it was great, well, it is great to be in the riches are in the niches. Okay, and when you think about the world, what you're doing is creating a niche for that world. Now, what happened is you may have been just exposed to the low-hanging fruit of people that were interested in this, and you have to work a little harder to get to the people that are interested, that are harder to find. And that can be done by some more specific social media targeting and working with somebody that can help you with the idea of putting out content that would attract people to this offering you have, which would thus lead them to a book. So you got to put them in a funnel. Okay, you start out with putting something out there, whether it's just knowledge and content, little pieces of it that would lead and target to go after those people on Facebook that would have an interest in dental work and so on and so forth. And with that would allow people to be exposed to it, that would be of the appropriate mindset or vibrating at the right level, however you want to look at it, and allow your book to increase sales opportunities. Okay, you said something going on there about writing other books and so forth, and I think that's great. If you have knowledge and content about adding, helping people with a respective area that you can share and add value to them, then you can make money doing it. I think what you have here is attractive, and if you push a little harder to dig into finding somebody that can help you, that's going to be a key. And AO Network can help you with that. There's people out there in AO that could be a good source for you. Paul Schoonover has a company called Ascend. It's in AO. I think there's some other people that, Rick Billy is doing. He does a lot of video work for Sean, but he creates video for social media stuff and other approaches. So there's different things you can do to get exposure to the clientele you want. It's got to be managed and worked appropriately. So anyway, next question. So Christopher Joseph asked, what resources would you recommend for me to learn to be a better communicator and salesperson? Business description and background. I am building software for the streaming gaming industry. Thank you in advance. Well, interesting on the streaming gaming. I'd like to know more about what you're doing there, Christopher. So anyway, if you can shoot me a message and tell me about that, I'd be intrigued to hear your story in that area. So first thing I'm going to say about this is when it comes to selling, that is to be that what person in this industry, in the selling industry, that I admire and have read quite a few books on and actually met years back, what is Chet Holmes. Chet Holmes wrote a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine. It was #1 bestseller in all the categories, basically, and was on the list for multiple years, and it was a great, great book. It is a great, great book. So one of the things that Chet said when I heard him speak in person was that, and I think it's in his book, was the #1 trait for the best people that sell is empathy. Wouldn't thought that, right? So what is it that when you are putting out empathy, you connect with people in a way that makes them like you and helps them to see your perspective and what you're offering just by being empathetic to their needs and concerns and understanding what value they're looking for. Okay, so anytime you can do that, you're going to have the ability to connect better. So some people may say, okay, well, how do I create empathy, or how do I act in a more empathetic way? And interestingly enough, something that goes to what I'm doing is I'm working with a gentleman called Eric Maddox. Eric was the guy who caught Saddam Hussein. He was the interrogator with the military who caught Saddam Hussein, and he did so with empathetic listening. And when I heard him speak, I was so intrigued with his message that I searched him out to get more time with him and have discussions with him, and then bring him into our local entrepreneurial chapter to speak here in Knoxville. And as I spent more time and connected with him, I just had this epiphany about what he was doing and how he did it. If it could be shown, because I watched him do it, and if it could be shown on video, then we could actually use it to teach people how to be a better empathetic listener. If he was able to take an enemy, people who thought he was the enemy, and get them to open up and listen without any waterboarding, without any harsh techniques, you sat down and listened to him. And as I was saying before, the biggest needs in communication is the ability to feel heard. And when he allowed those people to feel heard and approach it in an empathetic way, he got them to talk. And one person after another led to the capture of Saddam Hussein. The one person who knew where Saddam was, the one bodyguard that he trusted enough to tell where he was, actually broke and shared with Eric and his team, and who ended up going after Saddam and capturing him. So we are building that program right now, and we'll be out there in a month. But watching the videos on how to do empathetic listening and what he's talking about and how to engage and take those steps is the way to connect with people. And I'm in the middle of learning it myself. So there's ways to learn empathy as opposed to just saying, well, you got to be more empathetic. And if somebody said that to me, I'd be like, oh, what's empathy? What's empathy? How is it? What's it look like when you are empathetic? Well, I couldn't really describe that. as somebody asked me. And there's, some nuances that you can understand. You got to like be interested. You got to like feel for where they're feeling, or try to come from, look at it, the world from their perspective, or come with the basic things. But how to do so is what we are creating in this course called the Maddox Principle. And it'll be out in the near future, and I'll let you guys know about it. But to zero in on this is that selling is a book, Ultimate Sales Machine. I would highly recommend to be able to look at the world of selling your product. And if it's a software system, I'd also look at Dan Martell. Dan is a guru in the SaaS, software as a service space. I would talk to him. I would look at his material. He's got a lot of free material out there online that you can get exposed to. I was saying before, YouTube. YouTube is one of your best friends. And he's got all kinds of YouTube videos out talking about how to grow software as a service business, and so forth, if that's appropriate to what you're doing in streaming and gaming. So anyway, that is the questions for now. All the questions I have today. And I hope that you all got some value out of this sharing and the experiences that I've had in my life, and can help you grow and learn. And again, I'll close out by saying that the opportunity to be in a program like AO is powerful. Okay, EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization, I joined in '99 and have been a member ever since. And with that, I've engaged in amazing people, growing very unique, different, exciting businesses, doing well for themselves, being free, living life big, and just being around people like this. It allows you to engage in a peer group that can help you to think and vibrate at the higher levels that will get you to higher levels. Okay, so utilize AO as much as possible. Take advantage of the mentors you have and those that are sharing, and utilize it to learn and grow and to be better. So with that, Greg D'Amico signing off till next time. Take care, everybody. Have a great month.